This is part 2 of how to solve multi-step equations. So we were using the mnemonic, don't call me after midnight. We already have covered the D, which stands for distribute, and the C for combine like terms. And so this video is going to cover the last 3 steps, which is move terms, add, subtract, multiply, divide. So to move like terms, the first thing you have to do is identify the variable and add or subtract to move it so that the variable is only on one side of the equation and the constant is on the other side. So identify the variable and add or subtract to move it so that the variable is on one side of the equation and the constant is on the other side. So examples. All right, so we are going to find the variable, and I see 4x on this side of my equal sign, and I see 3x on this side. So we want the variable either to be on this side or this side. So I need to move one of these. Well, I know that 3 is smaller, and I'd rather move a smaller thing than a large thing. So I'm going to subtract 3 because I know that a positive 3 and a negative 3 cancel out. Now, if I subtract 3x from this side, equality property says I have to also subtract it from this side. Okay, so let's see what happens. This cancels out. When I put these together, 4x minus 3x, I get 1x, which is the same as x. Okay, I have a minus 1, an equal sign, and 8. Okay, so now I have added or subtracted so that I've moved my variable to one side. And now, since my variable's on this side, I need my constants on the other side. So I need to move -1. To move -1, I'm going to add 1 to both sides. That cancels, and I get x equals 9. All right, number 2. Again, here is my equation, the two sides. I need variable on one and constants on the other. Well, I already have the variable only on one side. So I need to move this constant on the other. So inverse would be to subtract 2. If I subtract 2 on this side, I have to subtract 2 on that side. So that cancels, and I have -6p equals 2. Okay, well, I'm not done yet. I need p all by itself, just the variable. So now I need to do the inverse of multiply, because this represents multiplication when they're next to each other. So instead of multiplying times -6, I'm going to divide by -6. That's how those cancel out. Now, if I divide this side by -6, I also have to divide that side. So I have p equals -2/6. And I know I can simplify that fraction to 1/3. So -1/3 is the answer. Number 3. I have n over here and n over here. I want it on one side. -6 is smaller, so I'm going to move it by adding 6n to both sides. All right, 18 equals 20 plus n. -5 plus 6 is 1, so n. All right, got my variable on one side. Time to move this guy over here. 18 minus 20 is -2 equals n. All right, so we now have used all of the last 3 steps. To move like terms, we need to add, subtract, and then multiply or divide to get the variable all by itself. So let's do it all together now. Don't call me after midnight. So first thing I'm going to do is make a checklist so that I make sure I'm following all of the steps. Okay, so this stands for don't call me after midnight, distribute, combine, move, add, multiply. So first thing I'm going to do is look for distribute, and I do see it right here. So that's the one and only thing I'm going to do it right now. So -8 times p and -8 times 2. I'm going to write all the rest of my equation. I'm done with that one step. All right, now I'm going to combine like terms. Again, I'm only going to look on one side to combine and then the other. So here I have a -8p and a positive p, which I know is the same as a 1. And -8 plus 1 is -7p. And then -16 equals, all right, nothing to combine with my variable, but I have these two constants, and 12 plus 7 or 5 is 17. All right, so now I've combined like terms on each side, and it's time to move it. So I need p only on one side, and it's here and here. -7 is smaller, so I'm going to move this. So instead of -7, I'm going to do add 7. Both sides. See what happens. Those cancel. I still have -6 equals, okay, and when I put those together, I get 11p plus 17. Okay, so now I have my variable on one side. You've got to get that constant on the other. So the inverse of plus 17 is minus 17. Do that here. I have to do it here as well. Okay, so I have 11p equals, and I put these together, and I get -33. All right, so -33 equals 11p. I'm not done yet. I need p by itself. So I'm going to, instead of this being multiplied by 11, I'm going to divide by 11. Do that here. I have to do it here. That cancels. So I end up with -3 equals p. All right, now the next thing I need to do is check this. So to check this, I'm going to substitute. To substitute, I'm going to put -3 in for p in this equation and see if it works. So -8, instead of p, I'm going to put -3 plus 2. Instead of plus p, I'm going to put my -3 equals 4 times -3 plus 12 plus 5. Okay, so let's take a look. We have to do this first. And -3 plus 2 is -1. See, 4 times -3 is -12. Okay, -8 times -1 is 8. -12 plus 12 cancels, and I have 5. And 8 minus 3 is 5. So it checks. All right, Next problem. Don't call me after midnight. I'm looking for distribute, but this problem doesn't have it, so we can skip that. Look at combining like terms. Okay, so these can't be combined. This has a variable and this is a constant. Let's look on this side. These can be combined. And when I combine negative x and positive x, they actually cancel out. So I'm left with just -8 on that one side. Okay, so I've combined. Now it's time to move it. So I have my variable on one side. I need to move the constant over here. So to move +4, I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides. Bye-bye. And I'm left with x divided by 2. -8 minus 4 is -12. Okay, so we're done moving and adding and subtracting, and now we're on the last step, multiply or divide. So this means divide by 2. The inverse is multiply by 2. So I'm going to multiply this side by 2, and if I do that, I have to multiply that side by 2. Those cancel, and -12 times 2 is -24. All right, so now we're going to plug it in to check our answer. So I have -24 divided by 2 plus 4 equals -24 minus 8 plus -24. All right, so this ends up being a -12. These cancel out, and I have -8. And -12 plus 4 is -8. All right, last one. Don't call me after midnight. Distribute. I do see right here. -4 times 5h is -20h. -4 times 7 is -28. Plus 16h equals 40. All right, so we've done the one step, distribute. Now we're on combine like terms. Well, this is the only term on this side of the equation, so we just need to look here. -20h and 16h are like terms. So I put those together and I get -4h. Okay, so there we've combined, and now we need to move and add or subtract and multiply or divide. So I have my variable here, we've got to move him. So I'm going to add 28 to both sides. -4h equals 68. Okay, so my last step is to divide both sides by -4. So when I do that, I end up with h equals -17. All right, time to check. I'm going to plug it in wherever there's an h up here. -4. 5 times -17 plus 7 plus 16 times -17 equals 40. All right, so let's take care of what's in parentheses. And 5 times -17 is -85. -85 plus 7 equals -78. All right, keep going. We have to multiply -4 times -78. And then multiply 16 times -17. All right, we put those together and we end up with 40. This is true. So H does equal -17. Okay, so that is using all of the steps. Sometimes you need to use all of them. Sometimes you can skip a step if you need to, depending on the problem. So your assignment now is to do the Superstar worksheet. This gives you practice on moving terms so that you have the variable on one side and constant on the other. And then you're going to do the IDEA app activity that's in your Google Classroom. And the last thing is to do this and post your answers on Focus.